Hey everybody, and welcome back to another show.
Cheers. Welcome to the bar.
Surviving the Badge. Can't ever get what I need to say in there. I should just start and just stop and wait for him to go. Tonight we're going to be talking about the New York subway death. There's a lot of controversy surrounding that, so we're going to go into all of that. We have some pictures and stuff to share with you. So stick around, guys. We'll be right back. All right, let's dive right into our beer moment.
Can we do our officer shout out first?
Oh, Hurry up!
Sure.
Beer's getting warm.
I get it.
Well, so then shut up and do it.
Before I do fallen officer, I want to do a toast to a fellow student or a former student of mine who is now working for a new agency, Officer Alvarez. Welcome to the family. Be safe out there.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. All right. As of today, 41 deaths in the line of duty, and remember we talked about last week when there was a huge increase in deaths by other, and that's still the thing.
Right.
Everything else is down, but deaths by other up 200%. And one of those was the Port Authority police officer, Kimberly Syccumbs. Yeah. Alabama Port Authority. Somehow she got in a vehicle crash and went into the river and drowned. So be careful out there no matter what you're doing. So to Officer Syccumbs.
And all of our fallen officers and families. God bless you.
It is law week. Yeah, police week. It's police week. Yep.
Police
South
week.
Out there.
Police week. All right, John. What are we looking at for a beer moment,
All right,
brother?
we're going to try Summer Bliss, New Belgium. It's a tropical wheat. Now, I'm actually going to try this for the first time, unlike Camille, who's been drinking it.
I got 2 beers and a whiskey and a cigar. I'm ready. It is a bar. Shit, that's good.
That is good.
That is really good.
This is another beer. If you're going to drink all day, you
I
drink this
am
in the morning.
enjoying the shit out of
This
this
is
beer.
Man, that
Summer
is
Bliss.
really good.
We've got some good ones.
Yeah. That's New Belgium?
This is mango. Yeah, it's a mango
is that
flavor.
what it is? Okay. I'm like, what is that flavor? That's a really good flavor. I'm going to give that like an 8.5, almost 8.75. That's a really good beer. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 9, man. This is good as hell.
I'm going to give this a 9.01 just so I can give it the highest score of anyone.
Okay, I changed mine 9.02.
Too late.
All right, so let's kick it off here and get rolling.
All right, we're going to talk about...
I'm going to save that can. I know what it is. Damn,
Yeah.
that's good.
That's a great beer.
So as most of us know, there was a recent death on a subway.
Yes.
On May 1st, Jordan Neely, who is a homeless, or as I was corrected, houseless Michael Jackson impersonator, was, I'm saying allegedly, but there are now several witnesses who have come forward who said specifically, yes, he was harassing and threatening several people on a subway train in New York. Now, nobody knew what his criminal history was.
Right.
Okay, but on that train was Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old Marine vet.
Now, want to show their picture real quick?
Sure.
Keep going.
So anyway.
So which one is which, John?
Okay.
Just so we know.
Jordan Neely is the one in the white shirt, and Daniel Penny
Is a blonde guy.
is
Blonde
the
curly.
guy. Okay. Now, I did that on purpose, saying which one is which, because
Why, John?
this was not a racially motivated case.
Bullshit. Everybody says it's racial.
But it's not. Okay, it's behavior
No,
related.
if you watch anything, it's racism, John. Come on.
I understand that, but Daniel Penny, being a Marine, I don't know how much action he saw, being deployed anywhere. I don't know, but having been in law enforcement, we are trained to recognize when people are being aggressive. People are a threat.
Right, a threat. Yeah, I was about to say that.
As did
Recognize
he.
a threat.
Right. And Jordan Neely was aggressively approaching and threatening other passengers on the train.
So this was on the train. People could not flee.
You
they
couldn't
could
go
not
anywhere.
escape. You're in a captive environment.
You're in a tube.
Right.
You're basically in a can.
Lack of a better word.
Have you ever been on the New York subway, John?
I have.
Okay, I have not. So tell us about it.
I have.
Is it a little scary?
Not nowadays.
Now it is. Now
Now it is, but it wasn't like
Oh, really?
10 years ago. But
Yeah, because once COVID happened, now all the homeless are living, or houseless, are literally living on the subway.
Well, I went up before COVID, and they had actually cleaned it all up a lot.
not
man.
quite
It
like
was-
the 80s, right?
No, or the 60s or 70s.
70s when it was really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
It was the 80s when they changed everything.
Okay, yeah, thanks to Giuliani, right?
Okay, so Jordan Neely was aggressively harassing and threatening passengers on the subway, and Daniel Penny stepped up and intervened.
Right.
Which nowadays, that's going to be all you got.
That's a rarity.
Well, it's a rarity, but defund the law enforcement,
Yeah.
defund the police.
Yeah.
We've got cops doing everything but policing,
Yep.
and we have a lot
Yeah.
less of them.
How much money did the New York City Police Department defund? Was it $1 billion or something?
I think it's something like that. It was insane.
So they took $1 billion with a
Right.
B away from the New York City Police Department
Mhm.
after the George Floyd death, just to show the defunding of the police. So obviously there's going to be repercussions of that. Lack of law enforcement is one of those.
Okay, but let's take that defunding the police, and we're gonna kind of talk about that in a second.
Okay, sorry, I jumped in.
No, that's fine. But
Imagine that.
so anyway, Daniel Penny and two other passengers,
Yes.
and you have the picture up?
I do.
You can see Daniel Penny, is restraining Jordan Neely, and there are two other passengers
Right.
that were helping to restrain him.
Yes.
Okay, now I don't know exactly where his arm is, but that's a blood flow
That's what I thought.
maneuver,
Right.
not a choking maneuver.
Right. So there's two different maneuvers. One, like you were saying. What's the difference, John?
Well, one restricts your blood flow to your carotid artery, and then your brain passes. You pass out.
Right. And then
Okay.
the other one.
The other one is a choke.
Right.
Against the windpipe, and unfortunately, a lot of times, if the elbow slips a little bit, one turns into the other.
Yeah. Right.
So
Especially if the person is fighting.
Exactly.
Yep.
Which
It's
he
combative.
obviously was if you have two other people who have to restrain him.
Have you ever been in one of those chokeholds? A blood restrictive choke?
I have not.
I have. My brother put me in one, and I passed out. It's scary shit.
I have been in the Cobra Clutch.
Well,
It's scary shit, dude.
I personally have used it on 3 separate occasions on persons, suspects.
And was it successful?
Absolutely successful. Put them right down to their knees and was able to get them secured. And within a matter of 5 to 10 seconds, they come back out of it. As soon as the blood flow starts again, bam.
Because it's just a restriction.
That's all it is. Just
It's not.
restricts the blood
You're not
flow.
cutting it off.
No, you're not breaking it or anything else, but it has to be done right. You have to get the arm all the way around so that basically your forearm and your bicep are squeezing against the carotid arteries. If you come across with the front of that, across the front of the windpipe, you will crush their windpipe and kill them.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
So I haven't been in the academy since 88. 19. Jeez, God, it's been a long time. And you, 1788. But I imagine they're not. I imagine they're not teaching that anymore.
no, they didn't teach it to us in the
No, I
academy.
didn't.
My dad taught me
Oh, okay.
because they taught it in his academy in
They didn't teach it,
1974.
but of course, the DT instructor had to show it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
Yeah.
But my dad showed me how to do it, and he was an expert at it. I don't know how many people he dropped.
But
with
obviously
that.
they're still teaching it in the Marines because they are our country's defenders.
Right.
All right, so continue.
Sorry.
No, that was a good segue. I mean, that was good.
So, unfortunately, Jordan Neely passed away as a result of this maneuver. Now, I wanted to go back to say one thing. Again, law enforcement, even though we don't use this maneuver anymore, okay, because they're making a big thing that he's a Marine, and he's a killer. He's a trained killer. Okay, well, as Camille pointed out earlier, he's a defender.
Right. That's how I see it.
Okay.
Because my dad was a Marine, and I never ever saw my dad as a killer.
Right.
I saw my dad as a hero.
But what does law enforcement have that the average citizen on the street does not?
Knowledge of the shit that's out there.
In a situation like this,
I'm not sure where you're going for, John.
they have restraints.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. They have
So-
handcuffs. They have
Right.
tasers.
So what are you
Right.
going to do when he gets back up?
Right.
You got to do it all over again.
Yeah.
We would get him down, put him in handcuffs, maybe another restraint, strap the legs or something like that. So
Yeah.
We have tools.
we have
in
tools
our toolbox
where, okay, we've got him down. Now we can hold him.
Our bat belt.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't have that.
You're right. No,
He doesn't
He's just
have
a regular on that train. He's just a regular citizen.
Okay, so I'm going to go, while we're talking about restraints, I'm going to go, I'm going to take the other side. From chains.
Okay.
What?
I'm going to take the other side. Can you believe it? Yeah. Okay, drum roll.
All right.
Anyway. Why didn't he just leave him the fuck alone?
Okay, well, because, and I actually heard, apparently a witness came forward today that said he actually threatened, Neely threatened Penny, saying, I'll kill you.
Do we know, and I know you may not know because you weren't on the damn train,
Right.
and it'll come out in the trial and all that, but do we know by chance if he invaded his personal space and was enough of a threat where he thought he had to do this? Do we know that yet?
I know he was a threat to other passengers on the train.
Verbally, right?
No, but aggressive. He was in their space
Okay, gotcha.
and demanding
Gotcha,
stuff.
okay. Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, now.
Then he may have felt like he had absolutely no alternative.
I thought you were taking the other side.
I do, but what I'm saying is why him? I mean, why did he think, okay, I mean, did he think, I know that there was talks about that he was having trouble coping after coming out of the military. Did he say, you know what, I've had enough, screw this guy, I'm not going to take any of his shit, I'm going to take him
So you're
down.
saying, did he snap?
I don't know. And I'm sure that'll come out. I'm just trying to look at both sides of it and say, he could have just said, back off, MFer, and just kept doing that until the train stopped.
But how many times do you have to say back off, MFer?
Well, I mean, if he
Until-
jumps on you, then
Well, yeah.
you can't.
Can
But
I ask a question? So
how many times?
I'm wondering.
If he wants for me.
I'm wondering if how, and and this is more of a question for you. If you're on the train and you're used to these crazy MFers, and you go into like a submissive position,
Right.
and he moves along, well, this guy's not going to be submissive,
Right.
and he comes up, and maybe that's a challenge for what's the name of the dead guy?
Jordan Neely.
Jordan.
Neely,
He's
yeah.
like, oh, I'm not
scaring you?
I'm not scaring you.
Yeah.
Let's increase this a little
Yeah,
bit.
let's-
Yeah,
let
but,
me
but
jump.
the other thing is, because this is all going to come down to, was it justified?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Self-defense or was he trying to keep someone else from being injured or hurt
That's
or
where I
whatever?
was going,
Right,
because
yeah.
when are you allowed to use force as a private citizen?
When
To save the life of yourself or others.
You're allowed to use force.
It doesn't-
If it's the protection of yourself or others, you're allowed to use deadly force if
And you know
there's a
what?
deadly force against you.
I
or
think the
others.
force he used in the beginning, taking him down and holding on to him, was legitimate enough force. How did it escalate? Who knows? I mean, did the guy continue to fight? It looked like there was three guys
there's
trying to
three
hold him
guys holding him
down.
down.
And I'm
Okay,
just
so-
going to show that picture again. But I mean, there's three people trying to hold this summit down. So was he kicking, screaming, fighting? I mean, what was he doing?
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure there's video. Oh, that's what I want to ask you, John.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
Is there transit video on these trains?
I don't think they have an actual transit video, or they haven't released it, as far as I know. I think it's.
You would think that every train now,
But-
with the modern
but-
video age, every train would have some type of video.
I said I don't think they released
Yeah,
it.
so somebody
Oh,
walks,
released it.
so these scumbags walk in and go with a spray can. Useless.
Right.
We're talking about New York City.
Yeah, right.
But, kind of getting back to what we were talking about a little bit before, they did, before the police arrived, okay, he did go out. They put it, Daniel Penny, put him in a recovery position,
Which is on his side so he doesn't throw up and choke on his vomit.
which
Yep.
you're trained to do, when you. So it wasn't like he was, fuck him, I don't care.
Right.
It was, okay, I've resolved the problem.
Threats over.
Now we've got to.
Yeah, he didn't stand up and
Recovery
start pounding him,
situation.
beating his ass or
Right.
something
Or
while
like,
he's out.
You.
So
Don't ever do that again.
Ooh,
Oh,
you.
jeez.
So yes, he takes him down, but once the threat was neutralized, he then put him in the recovery position. They were calling for the police. People were calling 911 constantly.
Right.
But you're on a train,
Yeah.
a subway.
You gotta
Yeah.
wait till
In
the
a
next
tunnel.
station.
Yeah.
You have to wait for the next station.
Yeah, what the hell are you going to do? Get out in the tunnel?
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah.
and when the police got there, police administered first aid the best they could, and he cooperated. He went down to the police station, gave him his statement and all that stuff. And the next day, well, we'll talk about the case a little bit more, and then
So he passed away. He
passed away.
Never woke up. Has there been an autopsy released?
I don't think they released the entire autopsy. Well, they didn't release the entire autopsy because there is no, toxicology
Okay.
report. However, Neely, the Emmy ruled that it ruled the death a homicide by compression of the neck.
Okay.
Now let me ask you a
Not
question.
the throat. So that's very. Medical examiners are very specific.
But what
in-
is? I want to talk about what is an ME's ruling on what the cause of death is. What does that mean?
So a homicide is just one person causing the death of another. It's not a
criminal
crime.
charge.
Nope. It's the cause of a death. If somebody's running at me with a knife or a gun and I
Right.
shoot them
Right.
in self-defense, that's still homicide. It's a person killing another person.
Okay.
It's not a crime. It's not. It's just
Because
a,
you have
it's a
cause of
technical-
death and manner of death.
Correct.
Okay, so homicide is your manner of death,
Right.
and by compression of the neck is your cause of death.
Right.
Cause
Yes.
of death.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, I know people are like, "Oh, the ME said it was a homicide." Well, that's not illegal.
Thousands of people die every year of homicide. If I'm driving down the road and somebody just jumps off of an overpass in front of my car, that's a homicide because it's a one person killing another person. Yeah.
Well, with
people
your car, you'd probably be the one who died.
Yeah, no shit.
People read way too much into homicide. Yeah.
Okay, so this caused a lot of rioting
Yes.
in New York.
Immediately and very, very orchestrated.
Yes. Okay. To the point where you had people who jumped on the subway tracks. Okay, which I don't. You've heard the term the third rail.
That's
correct?
electric. That's the if you touch it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard.
Okay.
Yes.
So
That's all I know about it, though.
yeah, you don't mess with the third rail.
That's not the like. There's one.
That was it.
If I'm waiting for a track, it's a 1, 2, and 3, or is the third rail the center one?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
But the point, well, it's probably
It's the one
it's
that
center
carries
one.
all the juice.
It's probably the center one because
That's what I would think,
The
right?
train whatever
Yeah.
tracks the train runs on. So
One,
the center
2,
rail
3.
would be the.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You would think.
But so there happens to be 5 or 6 people who decide we're going to protest and jump on the tracks. And there were more photographers than there were people protesting. So it had to be set up.
Imagine that. Yeah. How come when all of a sudden one of these protests breaks out, there's like 62 news stations, and they're present right when it
It's
starts?
spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Spontaneous.
Yeah.
Grassroots.
Organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AstroTurf.
So you had protesting, then you had this incident where they had to turn off the electricity to the third rail because they were standing on it.
Jesus.
Okay.
Fucking idiots.
Yeah.
But then, the protests died down. And last night, Alvin Bragg, our favorite DA.
Our favorite DA in the U.S. Wait, let me ask you. Who's our favorite? Is Alvin Bragg or George Gaston our favorite? Got to be Alvin, right?
Alvin Bragg now.
And then number 2,
because
George
he's
Gaston.
doing everything. He's doing everything Gaston
Would love to be able to do.
is doing, but he's got a bigger
Yeah.
field to play in.
That's true. Okay.
I'm not a character in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, Gaston.
Gaston.
That's Gaston.
Gaston. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So the riots kind of die down, and next thing you know, Alvin Bragg comes out and says, "I'm going to charge Daniel Penny with second-degree manslaughter.
Manslaughter.
Basically, reckless homicide.
Right.
It's an involuntary manslaughter type
I was
That's my answer to that charge.
lame. Perfect timing, bro.
wow.
Perfect timing, wasn't
He's been
it?
working at it for 4 hours.
I've been waiting for my second, and when you said that, I was like, perfect timing.
But this reminds me of Freddie Gray.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, he was a prisoner being transported by the Baltimore police, and he died in custody.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
And there was all sorts of outrage, demanding all sorts, of things. Okay, and Marilyn Mosby, who was the DA or state's attorney, whatever their term is in Maryland, didn't bother going through the
Investigation.
investigation.
Nope.
Yeah.
I will charge those police
I will
officers.
charge him, and I'll charge him now. Yep.
Okay, didn't go through a grand jury.
Nope.
Just said,
Why would you do that?
I'm the state attorney. I have the authority. I'm charging them. And that's what Alvin Bragg is doing. They caved to the protests.
Yep.
Okay.
So what happened to those police officers that were charged by Mosby?
they were all exonerated
Every one of them.
What?
Every one of them.
That's weird. How did that happen?
because there
it
was
was
an investigation, and the law was followed.
Because it was.
Lame.
Well, one of the reasons was and this was pretty smart on their part, which I don't know why. I mean, this is a whole totally different story. I don't know why Trump isn't doing this, but those police officers in Baltimore, they said, we are not waiving our speedy trial, and we want a bench trial. And after the first, how many, was there 4 that were in Baltimore?
3
Yeah,
or,
There was
3 or 4.
anyway. After
yeah.
the first 2, they were all dropped.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And
Because they know it was
I think they're
bullshit.
going to do the same thing here. And
If he's got a smart attorney,
well, and the other
absolutely.
and the person Penny has representing him was Alvin Bragg's opponent for the DA position.
Okay. Interesting.
But New York law, all sorts of screwed up. Okay. Alvin Bragg has 20 days to provide Daniel Penny with 100% of all evidence that he has.
So discovery.
Discovery.
And the
20
Brady
days.
and the Brady rules. Okay. That's
20
good.
days. That's what the law says. Okay. But if I'm Daniel Penny, waive speedy trial.
100%. I'm
Or don't
waiving
waive-
speedy trial. I'm asking for a change of venue, or I'm asking for
No,
a
you don't
bench
waive
trial.
speedy trial.
No, I'm sorry.
Don't waive speedy
Don't
trial.
waive speedy trial. I'm asking for a change of venue or a bench trial.
Well, the problem is you go for change of venue. That's a motion you put in.
oh, it's delayed. It makes your
That
speedy trial delayed.
you're the one who delayed it.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to, we were talking about Jordan Neely and who is Jordan Neely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, part of the problem is they're like he was homeless, houseless, lots of.
No, he was a loving.
He had
Michael Jackson impersonator who was houseless.
and he
Come on,
had
John.
he had mental problems. They defunded the police $1 billion.
Yep.
And they couldn't get this guy the help that he needed.
How many
That's
times,
where the problem
How many times has this guy been arrested, John?
42.
And,
And he had an open warrant
for what?
for punching a lady in the face, a 68-year-old woman in the face.
68-year-old lady in the face.
Oh, I wonder if that'll ever come out in the mass media when all this comes up. No, of course not.
And the final thing I want to say about this, right? Because this is going on as part of the social justice movement.
Which has been around for a while, but
Okay.
it's really hitting heavy
Well,
now.
here's where the problem is. If you have to qualify justice, it's not justice.
Good call.
Because this is not justice. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been charged. He shouldn't at any time be charged, but they should have gone through a grand jury. Let the case actually be investigated.
Mm-hmm.
Get all statements from all the witnesses, because Bragg didn't talk to this one who came out today.
Right.
But Penny turned himself in, was arraigned.
Cooperating defendant.
But you can't do that because the protests will continue, and we have to stop the protests somehow because all these
you
people that
can
are
stop the
protesting,
protest by sending cops out there to end the protest.
they don't have them. They cut $1 billion
Oh, no,
out of their budget.
no, they got enough. If they wanted to, they could
So
stop.
how long did the investigation take with the Alec Baldwin case where he actually killed somebody? I think it's murder. Over a year. But when did this event
May
happen?
1st. It's
And
the
today's the
11th.
12th? 11th?
12th.
So 11 days later,
12th, right.
they're arresting this guy for second-degree manslaughter.
Manslaughter.
Well, they have to stop the protests somehow.
Which
Don't send the cops out there to arrest protesters.
I'm a little confused about
Oh my
first
God.
degree and second degree manslaughter, because I know manslaughter is reckless act that causes a death. I mean, is there a huge difference between the two?
I think it's just a matter of intent to commit the act.
So in the second degree, it was no intent.
It was an oopsie.
It was a justified act
That caused.
that caused it.
Okay.
Okay, as
Which-
opposed to not a justified act.
Which seems logical if they had done the investigation. That's what they
Right.
came up with, but
Right.
they just jumped ahead.
I think it would be, let's say I was shooting a gun at a range, okay, and I knew there were people downrange,
But I wasn't shooting that way.
but
Right,
and I
they
shot
were over
anyway.
here, and I was shooting there, and it reflected off of the and went boom, and killed somebody.
Right. Okay. Well, but that was an intention. What you did was
Reckless.
stupid as hell.
Right. Which is
Okay.
manslaughter. Stupid
Now,
as
now
hell.
let's change this. Okay. A lot of people probably don't know what frangible ammunition is versus steel.
Right. No, they don't.
Okay. But you and I are at the range,
Yep.
and you're like, "Hey, we're gonna shoot some steel plates. Put in frangible ammunition."
Yeah.
Okay, and you're standing next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I shoot the plate. Shit, it was a steel round. Bounces back and hits you.
Yeah.
There was no intent.
No. Just
No.
you being an idiot.
Right. That's the reckless. You're an idiot for not checking your ammo.
We're talking really splitting hairs here.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think he's going to be found not guilty, even though it's New York.
LT, what do you think?
Not guilty.
I think he's going to be found guilty because it's New York.
Okay.
All right, well, you know what? If you want to get the hell out of New York, which a lot of people are, and you want to come to Central Florida, which we are inundated with New Yorkers, New Jerseyites, everything else, then get a hold of Chris. Get a hold of Kristen and Tom Clem Realtors, because they are the realtor that you want to talk to here in Central Florida if you're ready to move down here and the land of the sunshine and orange trees and everything else. Come on down. We'd love to have you. Hell, we'll take your money just as soon as everybody else will. Kristen and Tom Clem are thebomb.com. And if you're already here and you're willing to, or you're wanting to sell that piece of property, that home, you want to get the hell out of here because you don't like the heat. You want to move back up to New York because, you don't
Because you're an idiot.
But anyway, if you want to sell that piece of property, you want to get out ready to cash out, call Clem & Company Property Investments. The number's right there on your screen. It's also down below in the information below. And you can contact one of those two folks. Obviously, they're related. Tom is a current law enforcement officer. He is also a veteran Marine. Thank you, Tom, for your service. And these guys will take care of you. They are the best. Make sure that you go down and you like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Give us that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of content coming out at least every week. Sometimes, more than that. But we appreciate every single one of you guys.
Yeah, and let us know what you think's going to happen in this case. Let
Absolutely.
us know where you think this is heading, and if they should have gone through a grand jury investigation. Absolutely. I think they should have. I'm with you, John.
And if you know what that damn third rail, which rail is the third rail?
First, middle, last.
Let us know. Is it the one in the middle? Is it the one on the left if you're heading this way?
You know what I'm saying? I mean, wherever the train wheels run.
We're going to let them answer, John, because we don't trust you.
That's not a trivia question, is it?
No. Comment below. We'd love to hear your answers, please. Thank you very much. Because it's surviving the badge?
We still got your 6.
Absolutely.